I'll answer that question, but I just wanted, did you ever ask the person that you were studying with these questions?
Oh, yeah. I asked questions, yeah. Like, we talked about some really interesting things. Yeah.
And what happened because of that?
Oh, they stopped. They didn't. They just didn't think I was going with the program. You know. That was my thought about it.
What did they say though?
I don't know. Just that they weren't going to come anymore. They were real nice about it, but they also said I asked them, could we be friends? And like they were like real negative on that.
Yeah, I understand. Why they said that and that sort of thing. The reason being is because the time that we spend and we go and we talk and that kind of thing, but it's still very easily to be cordial and to be polite and that kind of thing. But I'd be more than willing to talk with you if you're open about learning from the Bible. And that publication really is quite simple, and it doesn't take anything out of context. The reason being that maybe it seems from your point of view that it took a scripture out of context is because oftentimes the scriptures in different parts talk about different things, you know, and maybe not, it's not a topic of a verse is separated by each number of the verse. In fact, the numbers of the verses are made for our convenience. The original scrolls were not put chapters and numbers and verses and that kind of thing. They were wrote all as one. So in Bible times, you would just read the portion of the scroll that is the point that you wanted to make. You wouldn't read the entire scroll that you had because there wasn't enough time. And you didn't have the number system and you didn't have the chapter system because it hadn't been invented yet. So that's maybe why there was a bit confusion on your part. I know that you have. That book is very, very simple. And if it's something that you notice that, it's going a bit too slow, the pace could always be increased. Maybe there's always something else. But that book is very efficient, and it is proven to be very insightful on what the Bible really teaches. So I don't know if there is any better tool for you to use if not for that book, if I'm honest.
How about just the Bible? I'm offering you a free Bible study, maybe like the Gospel of John, Romans, or the Book of Acts is really great. Just verse by verse. Yeah.
I'm not going to accept a Bible study from you.
I didn't think so. It only runs one way with you guys, doesn't it?
I'm not accepting the Bible study because I'm very confident in what I believe.
Then why wouldn't you do a verse-by-verse Bible study with someone? Do you notice that that is not provided in any of your books? It's just taking snatches of verses. Do you ever wonder why that is?
Actually, we actually do quite a bit of the verse-by-verse because you mentioned that you don't believe people should go to the midweek meetings, well, because at the midweek meetings we actually do have a weekly Bible study where we pick out a portion of the meeting. Have you ever been to a meeting before?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What did you think? Just a quick side note. I'll go back to what I was going to say.
The people were friendly.
Oh, that's nice. What did you think about what was taught there?
Well, one of the meetings I went to, and I talked to somebody about this after to ask them a question, they were saying that Jerusalem was destroyed in 607 BC.
Okay.
And it wasn't.
And
so I don't know why they were saying that.
So is your question that it just wasn't destroyed in 607 BC? Because it was destroyed twice.
No. The destruction they were talking about, it was 586.
Okay. So, because it was once by the Babylonians and then again by the Romans.
Yeah, this is the Babylonian. The Roman one was in 70 AD. This one was in 586/587 by multiple lines of reasoning, astronomy, archaeology. I don't think there's any scholars that believe it was destroyed in 607. So I did discuss that with somebody after. So that was one time I went.
Okay.
Do you know why they would say that?
that personally, I'm quite confident in 607 BC, but that's something that I would be interested in talking about at a later time.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But mainly going back to the point I was talking about, as far as going through the Bible bit by bit, that's something personally that we do. We read the Bible and that kind of thing, and we go verse by verse. As far as studying the Bible, when you study the Bible with a person, you go through the entire message of the Bible, because questions that many people have today that I'm sure you've heard about, I'm sure that you've perhaps wondered yourself. Questions like, why do we exist? Why were we created? Does God care about us? Why did Jesus die? Questions like that. Is the world always going to be the same? You know what I mean? Have you ever had those questions?
No, not since I've been reading the Bible and learned about the gospel.
But at one point you had those questions, though, right? That's what.
I don't know. I've been reading the Bible for a long time, so it's very sufficient on those things.
Okay,
sometimes the problem of evil and suffering is difficult, even for Christians. And I don't accept the superficial answer they give in that book, that Satan rules the world. Satan is sovereign over the world. That's not a correct answer. The word world in the Bible means different things sometimes. Sometimes it means like the system of things. There is a world that he rules, but really God is over all, and Jesus has all authority and power. So, that's just one example, since you're asking about that.
Okay. So I'll ask you a quick question, because I don't want to, I actually do have to cut out, but
okay.
If Jesus and Jehovah don't rule the world, why do bad things happen then?
Right. That's very difficult because of the fall. And because of the free will of sinful humans.
The fall of what?
The fall of man in Genesis.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right.
The whole Bible is about redemption,
so
God's plan to save sinners even in spite of the fall, when we became separated from God.
So how did the fall of man happen then? How did the fall of man happen?
With Adam and Eve.
And what caused Adam and Eve to fall?
Satan tempted them. But that doesn't prove Satan rules the world. We need to talk about that another time. That's pretty... It's kind of really off the point anyway. But you were trying to get me interested in the Bible Teach book by asking those questions. I'm familiar with it. I don't believe Jesus is Michael the Archangel. I don't believe they're false dates. If you knew the history of 1914, you wouldn't believe it either. So that's why I would love to talk to you about the history.
But I'm just on such a simple topic that I was just curious about. If Satan tempted Adam and Eve to turn away from Jehovah and turn away from God and that kind of thing, would he not be trying to do the same thing now?
Of course, the Bible talks about Satan tempting people, tempting Christians. That's, I'm sure you have a set of leading questions you're going to ask about that. And that's just an aside. That's just one thing in that book. There has been reams of philosophy, theology, scholars that have written reams about the problem of evil. And they tried to present that they answer it in like 2 paragraphs. Literally, there's only 2 paragraphs. Like, there you go. That's the problem of evil. By denying God's sovereignty. So, that's what I mean about it being a kindergartenish book.
Is it something that needs to be complicated, though, is my question.
It is very complicated, and a superficial solving of the problem of evil is, it's just off the track. I mean, it's even, some people think it's indicative of cults. Just simple answers to things that are actually really more complex.
But what's complex about Satan having influence over the world? And
no, they don't say Satan has influence. They say he rules the world. And they even use the book of Job, which is so out of context, because in the book of Job, do you notice that he had to receive permission from Yahweh for everything that he did? They don't bring that out there.
As far as testing Job...
Did you hear that? Yeah, they don't mention that he had to have permission from Yahweh for any of those things that he did. So there you go. He doesn't rule the world. There you go. Easy to answer that. Problem of evil, difficult, complex, yes. It's a main thing skeptics use, these days. And when you have suffering yourself, you really wrestle with that. But we look at God's ultimate purpose and we seek His strength and comfort that we have in Christ. So yeah, do you want to do a study with the, you can count your time for this, right?
Being honest with you, yeah, I can, but based upon what I've been getting, if I'm just honest with you, ma'am, Christine, right?
Yeah.
Christine, thank you so much. I don't really think that you're that open. It seems like you are set in what you believe, and it seems like you are not really willing to waver from that. And that's something that I respect. You're willing to choose whatever you want to choose. But seeing as how as when we call people on the phone, they do have a right to say no and say no, I'm not interested in what you're saying. So I'm going to exercise that right as well and say that I really don't think that the attitude that you're bringing to the table, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying that
really?
people can have a positive attitude. People can have a negative attitude. People can have a complacent attitude. There's a lot of different attitudes people can have, and I just think that your attitude is very self-content.
What do you think the verse means in Jude 3 where it says, earnestly contend for the faith that was once delivered to the saints?
I'd have to look that over more because...
Jude 3, and there's another one that says you should give an answer for people that ask. That means the tough questions, too.
Christine, I really appreciated our conversation, but seeing as how you did call me and you called this Kingdom Hall...
Yeah. It was your lucky day.
Well, I'm just going to say that I appreciate you being polite. And
you too. I really do. I like you. You really are cool to talk to. Were you raised a witness?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. But I do appreciate the time that you spent. But I will have to exercise my right to say that I'm not interested in what you believe. And I don't believe that you have an earnest effort to really learn about the Bible because of different things that you've said.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say that I'm not interested, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.
Well, check out the Proclaimer's book, okay? It's really interesting.
Okay. All right. But I hope you have a wonderful day.
Okay, you too.
Okay?
Thanks so much. God bless you.
Bye.
Bye.